What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? This is your boy Doug 60 Gang Originator. Thank you for stopping by my page again. I hope you're enjoying the content of me traveling around, going to people's homes, and doing appliance repair. So if you are in the Atlanta area and you need your appliance, stove, cooktop, refrigerator, dishwasher, washer, dryer, freezer service, and you don't want to pay more than you should be, then I'm your guy. 762-444-2168, and I cover the Atlanta area. That's why I'm up today, because somebody found out about me. Her name is Kimberly. Kimberly has a Samsung refrigerator in Covington, Georgia. She says she did a factory reset. It dispensed for a couple of days, then it stopped. Her ice maker's not working. I brought one lately. She might have broke it. Ice makers on Samsung are made of plastic. And if she has the one that I think she has, I'm bringing it with me. Because I'd rather have what I need and not need it than need what I need and not have it. You feel me? Alright, so we're off to Covington, Georgia. Happy birthday to those born today. What is that, June 8th, Sunday? My condolences to those who did not wake up to be with us today. And good morning to all of those who are with me as we be in the presence of the Lord. June 8th, 2025. Let's see. Last night, we finally got our internet solved. We had to get a whole new box, y'all. For some reason, it had connection. It had a Wi-Fi connection, but it wasn't being detected. Something happened to the box. I don't know. It'll sit there and say we got connections. Then it will all of a sudden connect and then disappear, if you guys know what I mean. So we had to get a whole new box yesterday. Now, the thing seems to be okay. But also, I saved $10 on my bill because the new box is $10 cheaper than the old one. So my bill went down. So I only pay like for a cell phone and for an internet box. My cell phone plus my internet box is only $85 a month for those who are stupid to have AT&T and any other phone service. So I get internet and phone for $85 a month. It was $95, but I got a $10 discount yesterday. And that's with Metro PCS, which is a division of T-Mobile, which pay rent to AT&T. So you guys paying those outrageous phone bills, you need to switch up. Because you're spending more than you should. 50 Gang spending more than me. And she only got a phone. And she got Netflix and Hulu and all that. But I got a Fire Stick that I cracked to get the same damn movies that she paying $7.99 a month. I'm not getting them for free. Huh? My middle name is Free. If it ain't free, I don't fucking want it. Alright guys, let's roll out to see Kimberly and her Samsung ice maker. Let's roll out. And boy, do we have a situation in California, don't we? Rolling around with Mexican flags, but yet they want to stay here. I don't understand. They need to get to going. It's crazy.
protest over in Los Angeles and what the Trump administration is now doing to try to tackle that entire situation. I want to take a look at some of this footage over in that area, some aerial footage courtesy of our partners there at Fox 11 in Los Angeles. Take a look at this. President Trump deploying 2,000 California National Guard troops to LA over the objections of Governor Gavin Newsom after a second day of clashes between hundreds of protesters and federal immigration authorities in riot gear. Confrontations broke out on Saturday near Home Depot in the heavily Latino city of Paramount, which is just south of Los Angeles. That's where federal agents were staging at a Department of Homeland Security office nearby. Now, agents unleashed tear gas, flashbang explosives, and pepper balls, and protesters in turn hurled rocks and cement at Border Patrol vehicles. We want to continue this discussion even further by bringing onto the program now national security analyst, retired Marines intelligence officer, Hal Kemper. Hal, good to see you.
Good to see you, Kirill.
All right, let's start with the basics, Hal. What can the National Guard do here in this situation? What was the thought process behind sending those troops?
Well, Kirill, it's rather interesting. The National Guard has two statuses. They are a military force. Their their uniforms say U.S. Army or U.S. Air Force, depending on which component they're in. But day to day, they kind of work under the governor, more or less. The governor can call them up. He can use them for things like quelling civil unrest. He can actually even use them for law enforcement, although most states, they don't do that. But they could do that under state law if they're in state status, and it's what's called state active duty. What President Trump has done is he's called these National Guard troops up in federal status in what's called Title 10. That's a federal status like any other federal military member anywhere in the world, and he's using them, and that's where it's not quite clear, but he's bringing them up. He's going to not bring them up, actually in law. I think for the most part they're actually activating National Guard troops in the Los Angeles area, but they will disperse to various locations to provide some sort of federal military support, and that's what's not clear. There was some language that was put out about quelling the riots or quelling the protests or doing something like that. That would be the president invoking the Insurrection Act. That is basically saying that state and local authorities have lost control of the situation, and the only way they can gain control, protect the public, is to declare the Insurrection Act, and he could do that. He has not done that. But what could they do short of that? Well, they historically speaking, they can do a lot. They were used in the 92 riots in Los Angeles. Federalized National Guard and the Marines. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, has talked about possibly bringing up the Marines from Camp Pendleton just south of Los Angeles. And they were used essentially to support and protect law enforcement in what they were doing, their mission. They weren't out there conducting law enforcement. That's a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878. But they were providing support and they were protecting law enforcement in enforcing the law. That's legal. They also could do other federal to federal support in that they could protect all federal property, even things like recruiting offices in strip malls or a post office, whatever. If it's federal property, you could conceivably bring in federal troops to act as security at that federal property. It's not very cost effective, but it can be done. So there are a lot of things they can do without invoking the Insurrection Act, but frankly, they're under federal status, and those troops are just the same as any other U.S. Army troop. They're under federal status, and they're going to basically go out there and do whatever a federal troop can or cannot do.
I want to talk about the separations of powers, because I just said that the president did deploy this, but Governor Gavin Newsom doesn't necessarily agree with this entire tactic. So how does this go between federal and state level when it comes to what these troops are going to be able to accomplish?
Well, if they're under state status, if they're on state active duty under the governor, they could actually go out there theoretically and enforce laws. They could use them like law enforcement. They could actually go out there and arrest people. They could detain them. They could put them in prison. They could do a lot of things. Under federal status, they cannot. Posse Comitatus Act says that federal troops cannot be used in a law enforcement role, and that's been used for a very long time. However, there are a number of things they can do. For example, The U.S. Navy routinely patrols areas trying to interdict illegal shipments of drugs into the U.S. at sea. Now, the U.S. Navy, like the U.S. Army, has no law enforcement authority because of the Posse Comitatus Act. However, they'll throw a few Coast Guardsmen on board who do have federal law enforcement authority, and the ship effectively becomes a Coast Guard vessel, albeit controlled by the Navy. It's a naval vessel. It's not like they changed out the crew, but they have these Coast Guard members on board, and the Coast Guard members can actually, stop ships at sea. They could search the ships looking for drugs. They could arrest people. They could seize the illegal cargo, if you will. They could do a lot of things like that. And the Navy personnel on board can actually act as a security force, if you will, for the Coast Guardsmen. So you have a couple of Coast Guardsmen on board a ship and a dozen heavily armed sailors behind them, and they do an enforcement mission. Now, take that example and translate it to the ground. That's kind of what you saw federal troops doing in Los Angeles in '92, where they were essentially backing up law enforcement, protecting law enforcement, providing security support for law enforcement, but law enforcement was actually doing that law enforcement job. The challenge here is the governor has not requested any assistance. In '92, the governor actually asked President Bush to federalize those troops and to bring the troops in. In this case, Gavin Newsom is saying, this is grandstanding. I don't want federal troops in Los Angeles. And it looks like the federal troops will be brought in strictly to support federal personnel, federal law enforcement personnel, and federal facilities, indubitably. That hasn't been said yet, but it's pretty much implied, in doing that federal law enforcement mission. And the interesting part of this is that for most of the state and local law enforcement have said emphatically, I read the chief of Los Angeles PD and the sheriff of Los Angeles County has made it very clear in just in press releases they put out today that their law enforcement personnel will not engage or support the civil warrants, enforcement of civil warrants involving immigration. That they will not go into these situations trying to find someone's immigration status. And so in that case, they basically said they won't support or enforce federal immigration law. So the federal immigration law enforcement authorities, ICE, are out there doing that. And the ICE folks were basically attacked, if you will, by the protesters, throwing things at them, a variety of other things. And so President Trump is bringing in these federal troops to protect those federal law enforcement personnel, to enforce federal law in a city and county and a state that will not enforce those federal laws. There are some slight parallels, if you will, to what we saw in the early 60s with Governor George Wallace in Alabama, where basically the courts had said, hey, look, the University of Alabama has to be integrated, and U.S. Marshals had to escort the African-American students onto the University of Alabama campus in order for them to go to class. Governor Wallace, a strict segregationist, called out the National Guard of Alabama and put them on the steps to block the students and the U.S. Marshals. And then President Kennedy turned around and federalized all those National Guard troops. And literally the general in charge turned around to the governor and basically said, sir, I work for the president now. I no longer work for you. And all those National Guard troops were stood down, dispersed, and the students came onto campus. So there's a lot of different ways legally this can be done.
Staying on some of the topics that you just mentioned, I do want to put up a post from California Governor Gavin Newsom. I'm going to take it here. So he posted this on X. I'm going to read it in full. He says, the federal government is moving to take over the California National Guard and deploy 2,000 soldiers. That move is purposefully inflammatory and will only escalate tensions. LA authorities are able to access law enforcement assistance at a moment's notice. We are in close coordination with the city and county, and there is currently no unmet need. The Guard has been admirably serving LA throughout recovery. This is the wrong mission and will erode public trust. Now, Hal, you did mention that some of these state and local law enforcement agencies are not going to be helping ICE with their operations. So where does the California Highway Patrol, the LAPD, the FBI, where do they come into play?
Well, the California Highway Patrol is really the only law enforcement body that the state has. They used to have more, but that's pretty much what they got. So when he says he's bringing out the California Highway Patrol, in these situations, we've seen it with riots, we've seen it with other things, that is the law enforcement element of the state that they can pull out, and they have, full law enforcement authority as sworn officers, sworn peace officers in the state of California. So that's what he's doing. He's also, if you listen to the language, he's laying what I'm sure will end up in court someday, as probably very soon in arguments, as to if the president tries to invoke the Insurrection Act. You listen to the language, he says, look, we have not lost control. We have, in so many words, he says, we have control. We are responding to whatever needs to be done out there. So basically, he's setting the legal predicate to say there was not an insurrection situation. There was not a situation in general where there was a need to bring in federal troops to help with law enforcement. If the president says it's an insurrection or he invokes the Insurrection Act, then those federal troops could be used in a law enforcement role. However, in the past, presidents have been very reticent to do that, especially if you're a Republican president with a democratically controlled state. That's what happened with President Bush and Katrina. He brought in the federal troops. He probably, if you look at what was happening in New Orleans, he probably had a lot of reason to say that the local law enforcement lost control. He could have imposed the Insurrection Act, but he chose not to, just because of the optics. A Republican president imposing that act in a state controlled by Democrats, in a city controlled by Democrats. So he decided not to do that. That was his rationale at the time. Although federal troops did deploy in the streets. They had quite a show of presence, but if you actually got into the rules of engagement, or the rules of force, rules of engagement is what they call it in the military, in terms of what they're doing, they did not have a federal law enforcement role, although if you see heavily armed federal troops patrolling your street where you live, that tends to dampen down any enthusiasm for doing rioting or looting or anything else. So it worked. It worked very well in that situation, when they finally got the troops in there, I should say. But it's not clear what President Trump is going to do with these troops. But I think I sent you over earlier. You can go back historically. The Marines actually were used in the 1920s, U.S. Marines, federal, to protect the U.S. Postal Service because basically postal parcels were being robbed all the time. So they put Marines on board the trains. I think Marines were actually flying postal bags as well. And the rationale behind that was that they needed to protect this federal entity, the U.S. Postal Service, in doing its federally assigned mission. So they did that, and they did it for a while. And in that very limited role, they were allowed to do it. But that doesn't mean they were out there kicking in doors and, arresting people, stuff like that. That's a different thing, and that's what posse comitatus prevents the U.S. military from doing, unless the president invokes the Insurrection Act. And hence you go back to what Gavin Newsom just put in that news release.
I want to show another post here, this time from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. I want to talk about this a little bit. He said this: the violent mob assaults on ICE and federal law enforcement are designed to prevent the removal of criminal illegal aliens from our soil, a dangerous invasion facilitated by criminal cartels, aka foreign terrorist organizations, and a huge national security risk. So how you touched on it a little bit there. But Secretary of Defense Hegseth saying that he is even going to be sending some of his own forces there to help quell this situation. So how and when would we see that actually come to fruition, let's say if it does?
Well, technically speaking, the National Guard, all National Guard units are, quote, his forces, if you will. Once they're federalized, once they're put under federal status, Title 10, they're federal troops. They do not work for the governor. Day by day, they normally, the chain of command with the National Guard in a state will run up through what's called the adjutant general, who's this 2-star general for the state, and he manages the force, if you will. He's not an operational commander, but he manages the force in terms of what the National Guard is. But the National Guard is a reserve element of the U.S. Department of Defense, of the Army or the Navy, or I should say of the Army or the Air Force. In a couple states, they have a small naval militia, but it's not much. But they are an element of the Army, if you will, and they get federal funding to do training to meet those federal military standards. It's called Title 32, and that's a separate issue. But that's something they do for training. So when he activates them, he could. However, to your point, the forces he was referring to that are always owned by him are the Marines down in Camp Pendleton. And Camp Pendleton is just about an hour and a half south of Los Angeles, depending on traffic. Albeit, I live in Los Angeles, so I can tell you the traffic can vary greatly depending on the time of day. But they're from Camp Pendleton, and they have rolled north, if you will, into LA to deal with civil unrest. It's not a mission they don't know. And I've over the years back, I worked very closely with Camp Pendleton on this issue with the Marines at Camp Pendleton. That was my, I don't know if it was my primary duty, but it was probably the biggest thing that I worked on. Working with the respective commands down there for various situations, whether it's wildfires, preparing for civil unrest situations like we saw in '92 or whatever. So they know what they can do. They know what they can't do legally under the law. It really depends on whatever the president does at this point. However, you do have, and this is where I'm kind of watching closely. It is going to be. I'm not a lawyer, but it's an interesting legal argument. Is that the state and the local law enforcement authorities have refused to enforce federal law. And again, that takes me back to what happened in the 60s, early 60s, with Governor George Wallace in Alabama with integrating the University of Alabama. In that situation, he would not either enforce or obey what the federal courts had told him to do. And so there is a bit of a parallel there, and I'm wondering if they do invoke the Insurrection Act, that they will probably cite this refusal by the state and the local, by the county and the city, or cities, I should say, in Southern California, or sanctuary cities, I should say, that to enforce federal law or to help federal law enforcement in this regard. So it will be an interesting discussion, and I'm pretty sure that whatever comes out of this may end up going to the Supreme Court. In fact, I would be shocked if the Supreme Court didn't have to rule on this.
You know how Los Angeles isn't the only place that we've been seeing these anti-ICE protests. I mean, they're happening all over the country. So given what's going on this weekend, specifically in LA, could we be seeing a similar situation within the coming days, perhaps? And can you share maybe the strategy behind perhaps placing troops in certain areas?
Well, the troops themselves, obviously very capable units. One of the reasons they always like to bring in the military is because they're self-sufficient. They have their own built-in security, if you will. Obviously they're heavily armed. So if you need something involving arms, well, the military is the biggest member of the gun club, so to speak. And so they have everything they need to do that. What they're looking at is they can deploy tactically, and they're very well trained to deploy tactically to provide security in certain situations. That's just what they do. And keep in mind, this is Los Angeles, but the military, U.S. military, when it's overseas, they've been doing this for many years. I mean, the entire war on terror, they were deploying into various urban areas and dealing with riots and protests and improvised explosive devices and firefights and everything else. So it's not something that's particularly alien to what the military can do. It's just we have a law that says they can't do federal law enforcement. Now, if I could just go back a little bit, because I think I forgot to answer this. This is the issue here, is that local law enforcement won't work with federal law enforcement. ICE, the FBI, any other federal law enforcement, they have law enforcement power anywhere in the United States. They have law enforcement power. So they're out there conducting lawful law enforcement operations, and they came under attack, so to speak. And that's why the White House is looking at putting those troops down there, is, I think, based on what they mean. You heard some language in some of these announcements. So when you talk about quelling protests, that would imply an active mission, which could be some sort of law enforcement authority. However, they could deploy, as they did in '92, and simply support federal law enforcement. Actually, that's a very easy one. That's what we call federal to federal. In other words, federal troops supporting a federal agency or federal agencies in doing their mission. That does not involve the governor, which is probably why one of the reasons the governor is upset about that, because for a federal agency to ask for federal military support in their mission, that goes strictly through federal channels. And I say that because some people out there talking on the air have been talking about how somehow this upsets the National Guard chain of command. It doesn't. If they're in federal status, they come under U.S. Northern Command, which is a combatant commander for North America that is responsible for any federal military being used in North America. And the commander of U.S. Northern Command reports to the President of the United States. So that's kind of how that works. So there's nothing illegal there. What I think they're going to do is they're going to say, look, he didn't have enough reason to do it. It'll be an interesting discussion, but legally speaking, unless you see federal troops kicking in doors and arresting people, there's a lot of things the troops can do which do not, as far as I can tell, violate federal law.
Just wanted to put this post here from LA Mayor Karen Bass, where she ends it saying, just to be clear, the National Guard has not been deployed in the city of Los Angeles. How there is so much really to get to with this topic, but a lot that we're going to be watching for.
Do a repo. This kind of like a tough repo right here because there's a lot of things that factor into this repo. First of all, it's an all-wheel drive car, so we're gonna have to set dollies on the car. Another factor is the financial spot that actually put the repo in, they want the key to the car also, so we got to try to retrieve the key also. And everybody know I hate confrontations. I do not like them, you know, so I like to just get the car and get out. But on a lot of the repos, that's not the case. You can't just, it's not that just that simple. So
you have a message.
Yeah, they be on some other shit, man. So, you know, we about to get ready to pull up over here, retrieve this thing. One of the spotters said they seen it in the driveway. They should pulling up, take some groceries out, whatever. So
Volkswagen Tig.
yeah. So hopefully everything go like we needed to go.
So right now what I'm doing is checking the VIN number to see if this is the correct information, the correct number. Yep, this is it. So what I'm doing now is, you know, seeing if the vehicle is occupied, which it is. Got groceries all on the front seat, so, you know, we don't want the groceries, we want the key. You know, she can have her groceries. Just put it in the back wheel, like the same way that.
Yeah, I be trying to move quick, man, because I don't want nobody to come out and see what we doing. Okay, so now we got everything strapped up. I'm about to go knock on the door. We're gonna try to get the key, and like I say, hopefully everything go like we needed to go. See that paper right quick, bro. Yeah, we here with an order to repossess your vehicle.
You lying?
Got the paperwork right here, miss. And we gonna need the key to the vehicle.
Absolutely not. You're not getting one of these.
We need the key now.
Well, you're not going to get it. What do you think? What is you, his backup?
Yeah.
Well, you need to back the fuck up off my porch.
We gonna still take the car.
Okay, well, you're not getting it. You're not getting these keys. Bye. Bye. Can I see the paperwork?
Right here. Even though I really don't have to show you.
Okay, whatever. Bye.
And it's the last thing I wanted to happen. That's why I like doing repos where I can just get in and get out. But unfortunately, this repo required us to get the key. Now I got scrapped in a back and forth match with this lady, something that is unacceptable. I tell my team all the time, look, it's understandable for these people to feel the way they feel and maybe come off how they come off sometimes because they get in the car repo and we don't know their situation. Our job is to keep our composure and get the job done without anything escalating.
You ain't gonna do nothing.
You gonna take it anyway.
Get him away. You get away. Bye.
You gonna take it
You're not
anyway.
taking
You
my
should
car.
have paid
You're
your
not even
note.
getting my keys. It don't matter what I do.
You gonna get it
You
anyway.
pay my car note
You gonna get it
then.
anyway.
You pay my car note.
Pay your own car note. You got groceries.
It's cool, it's cool, it's cool,
So,
it's cool, bro. It's
don't
cool,
worry
bro.
about
It's
my
cool,
groceries.
bro.
Get your
I'm
groceries.
hungry. I'm gonna eat. You ain't.
Listen,
I'm already.
I don't. We don't want to disrespect. We don't want to disrespect. We don't want to disrespect you.
It
And
doesn't
you know what I'm saying? Like I
You're
said,
taking your
we got this
vehicle.
order,
I'm
and
gonna need you to get your minion. I don't want to hear nothing else you got to say.
I don't give
You
a
touched
damn
my
what you
car.
want. Your car
Matter of
gonna be
fact,
touched.
let me show you. I
It's
got
gonna be
something for your ass.
Don't get it.
hey, yo, bro, we got to get out of here, man. Because I don't know if she's going to get a gun or what she's going to get. So we got to get in the vehicle, man. We got to get out of here.
You need to go get the money.
Listen, everybody's safety matters. So when I feel the situation getting a little out of control or a little shaky, it's time to go.
You better bring me back my motherfucking car.
People say, man, I'll be right back. I don't stick around. You never know what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Look at this shit right here. Glad I wasn't going too fast. Yeah, man. Safety first, bro. With this in this industry, man. That's why I don't like altercations with the people. I just like grabbing the car and go, but you know what I'm saying? Sometimes they want the key, and even though they want the key, we still ain't get the key. So
Hope you got the car.
we got the car, so they don't have to just take it.
Mission still accomplished. Bring your ass down there and get your car and your groceries.
Yeah, we got the vehicle. Wish we could have got the key also. But listen, once we back to the unit, I'm gonna address all the problems we had on this run, and hopefully everything go a little bit smoother next time we hit the streets. So y'all stay tuned.
After a day of ICE raids in LA, police and riot gear moving in as protesters move around downtown LA.
And this was late this evening, law enforcement firing tear gas at protesters outside the federal building. People in the crowd throwing that tear gas back.
The violence, the protests, the arrests, all triggered by widespread immigration raids across LA today.
We have team coverage beginning with Tom Waite tonight, who's live in downtown LA where those protests escalated. Tom.
And Susie and Juan, it was an intense night, and it continues now. As you said, there is a citywide tactical alert, and that means that LAPD officers on shift cannot go home. Now, their tactics have been very effective where we are, not far, about a block away from the federal complex, the federal building complex where the detention center is. You can see the skirmish line of officers here right now. There's basically like just a handful of protesters still here, and police officers have been on the loudspeaker telling them over and over again, if they don't leave or if they come back, they will be arrested. This is just the remnants of what was a much larger crowd earlier, and you saw just a couple of clips there of just how intense and, you know, violent things got when activists and protesters started throwing things and objects into the federal complex and at officers and agents there, and they responded with some intense force. Tensions explode downtown at the Federal Detention Center. A crowd of immigration rights activists attacked law enforcement guarding the detention facility. Chaos ensued.
Why would these people come over here and treat what we have over here in the United States of America than what it is that they have at home? They came over here illegally. They knew what it was. Los Angeles, especially downtown Los Angeles at this point, is a POS. It is hell over there. If there's anywhere in America that you want to go to, where you really want to see what the pits of hell look like, and you want to smell some poop, and you want to have to step over it and look down every time that you walk, and then you want to see mindless zombies and people that don't even speak English existing. Downtown Los Angeles looks like Mexico. It looked like certain parts of Mexico that you shouldn't go to. And people are over here protesting because they're deporting people that came over here illegally. I'm glad that we are finally enforcing the rule of law over here into the United States of America. And unfortunately, Los Angeles, who is operating at a $1 billion budget deficit, is at the crux of what's wrong of America. That is the blueprint of what's wrong with America. Now, let me reiterate, because I know that we out of election season, so you may not have heard me say this that recent, but I believe that it's cool to have people come over here legally, meaning that you go through the process. And yes, if we want to spend resources, then we need to be spending our resources, not giving it to illegal migrants, but to speeding up the process of these judges hearing deportation cases, of expediting the vetting of people that are coming over here legally so that they can be here. But it's disrespectful to them when people come over here illegally, take advantage of the American system. We have to use our taxpayer dollars while we over $37 trillion in debt. Now, of course, you're going to have people online crying, oh my God, I can't believe this. Look what's happening. The kids got to come out of school and go back to wherever it is that they came from. Yes, that's what happens when you do things that you're not supposed to do. And then you just act like nothing ever happened and you keep walking down the street like you was just doing it legally. That generally is how things play out. So what you see happening is the culmination of a lot of bad decisions over a long time. And we finally deciding that we want to fix America and get people out of here that is not here legally. So I don't really understand what the big deal is. I don't understand what the problem is.
It was a day of escalating anger in the Fashion District. This stunning scene, a military-style armored truck slowly rolling through. Surrounded by masked agents, as the crowd surrounded the truck, tear gas was deployed. Our crew was in the middle of it. At a clothing business nearby, agents made arrests. 18-year-old Katia Garcia was trying to see if her father and uncle were swept up in the raid.
I wasn't expecting, we didn't know nothing. Like, they just called us. Like, I was at school and they called us and I had...
What you thought, that they was going to give you a warning? Y'all thought that like they was going to be like, hey, y'all, we about to conduct a raid tonight and we coming, so I'm giving you a heads up. What do you mean? What are they supposed to tell you? That's how raids work.
ICE says all told, 44 people were arrested. As the day wore on, immigration rights activists swarmed the front doors of the federal detention center downtown, where they believed the detainees were being held. One man was arrested. Outside the detention center, a teacher from East LA got emotional as she talked about seeing agents carrying out an ICE operation outside a Home Depot in the Westlake district.
This morning, I woke up early to get ready for my students' culmination.
I was wondering when they was going to start hitting the Home Depots. If you go over to Chicago, they standing right outside waiting for you to come pick them up to come and do some job and getting paid into the table.
Chiona, I'm sorry, y'all. It was supposed to be a good day. 3 blocks away, I saw day laborers running from our local Home Depot. I took off my heels, grabbed my megaphone, and ran in that direction. What I found devastated me. The food stands were empty. It was a ghost town.
As the evening wore on, activists got more confrontational, leading to this. And you are looking at live pictures once again of the skirmish line out here. The tensions have definitely come down. I mean, you can see there's really barely anyone out here. Many more police officers than there are people. And I'm coughing because on cue, really. I was just about to start talking about the pepper spray, the pepper bombs that they were using just outside of the federal detention complex, which I can see from where I'm standing, where all that stuff went down. We were right literally in the middle of it as things escalated. And at one point, we had to run inside the truck because it was overwhelming. The pepper spray and pepper bombs, a very effective deterrent in a very good way, clearly, to disperse the crowd. It's still lingering in my throat. It's not,
That's a wild thing to say.
horribly painful, but it is definitely something that you can feel. And we were in there for some time until LAPD came in and forced everyone out of the area, kind of forming these skirmish lines. And they've actually, let's pan over here, Andre. We have another group of officers coming down the street.
Let's go. She said we can come on in really early. Get this done. And here we go. All right, Covington, Georgia. location now. About 3 minutes, we should be there.
You have a message.
Yeah.
This is the neighborhood. It's called Breckenridge. Okay, it's a fairly new community. Turn right here. Like single family units. You turn left on Bungley. They misspelled it wrong. Left on Bungley Court. They call it Bingley Court. They misspelled it. 55, 15, 25, 35, 45. That's where the blue pickup truck is. 55. Yeah, coming up, guys. I remember, if you guys have been with me long enough, you know, I used to go into people's house and record my repairs, but I had since stopped doing it because I didn't want to intrude on the cleanliness or uncleanliness of their homes. I didn't want to, like, embarrass them. And I also stopped because I didn't want them to see me coming in with a camera in my hand. So, in the coming days, I'm going to start coming in. I'm going to go back to that, but I'm not going to have the camera in my hand. I'm going to have the camera right here. So stay tuned. Possibly later on this month, we're going to get back to bringing you inside to see me do the actual repair. And I'll be back, okay? Another job well done by your boy Doug, 60 Gang on Monroe Appliance Repair. I service the entire Atlanta area, and if you want quality service at a good price on repair the refrigerator, dishwasher, microwave, cooktop, stove, washer, or dryer, I'm your boy. I'm retired, so I'm out here doing it for fun, making some money so I can spend it on my new wife, and tips are greatly accepted. That's all for today. Oh.
Hey, this ain't going one of your little
no,
triggers, did it? Or this?
No, you know, I found some batteries behind your refrigerator.
Okay.
That might be one of your devices.
Probably is.
I picked the batteries up, put it on the counter next to the refrigerator.
Cool. All right, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, that's you. They paid. This is okay. All right. Now we're gonna call 50 Gang Gang because I know she's watching me. Y'all ready to talk to her? Boom.
Hello, husband.
Hello. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm just great. Look, I just love hearing your voice.
Oh, that's so lovely. How's everything going on your end?
Everything's beautiful. I'm on my way
Yeah?
home. I'm on my way home.
Oh, that's nice.
I got to come back out because
Okay.
the parts have to be ordered.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to come back once the parts come in. All right, so it looks like I got about should be there about 110 or so.
Oh. Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty. Is there anything you need me to do?
You been to the store already?
No, I haven't stepped. No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
You could be going to Walmart. I thought you got my Pepsis by now.
Oh no, I had other things to, once I get into my laundry, like cleaning.
Yeah.
I have, I clean. Sunday is my cleaning day, so, and then here it is that I can't even get my music on my phone. My phone is not connecting well to this connection.
That's sad.
I can't get like my emails, my it's like I gotta step outside, and then when I step outside, I have to get away from this, and then it ting 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 ting.
What?
Something's up, so you need to look into that.
No, you need no. It's your phone.
I know that is my phone. That's why I'm telling you what's going on, because then when I look into it, I don't want you to say, well, why you didn't just tell me what was going on, So I'm just telling you what's going on.
The phone is black. That's why it don't work.
Don't say that. Yeah. Oh my God.
The phone is black.
So in the meantime, are you hungry, husband?
I fixed a nice breakfast, so it's getting close.
You sure did. I mean, that breakfast was really good.
Thinking that you was back by now and fixing your man a fantastic brunch.
See, don't worry about all that. Don't worry about all that. I got you. So, okay. So, okay, all right. I'm busy over here, so.
Okay. I'm just checking in because you act like I don't know how to call when it's actually you that don't know how to call.
You don't know how to call.
You don't either.
Why are you saying you don't either?
You don't. I can go almost half the day, do nothing because you be staring at the phone waiting on me to call, and I be staring at the phone waiting on you to call. We both be staring at the phone, and nobody calling. If you staring at the phone 9 times out of 10, I'm staring at it too. Yeah, nobody gonna call. He ain't gonna call me. She ain't gonna call me. He ain't gonna call me. I ain't know I'm waiting on him to call. I'm saying the same shit.
All right.
We need to do tag. Like if I call you, then it's your turn. If you call me, then it's my turn. How about that? Think that'll work?
I don't know. I don't see why.
I just called. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Keep it simple. Okay. I just called you, right?
Right. So that means I have to call you.
Yeah, you've been tagged. It's like playing tag.
Right.
You're it.
Yeah, okay. I see
Tag,
what you're
it.
saying. Right, okay, gotcha. So I have the potatoes on, and so that way you can mash them. I told you I wanted.
Them or baking them?
I'm boiling them. I just said I have them on in a pot of water with a little bit of touch of olive oil, so that way the skin is easy to peel off when you're ready to mash them. I just didn't know what you want me to have ready. Like, am I pulling out some garlic powder? Is that what I'm putting in it?
Whatever you want to taste on the potato, pull it out. Onion, garlic, seamoning.
Okay. Okay, onion, garlic, seasoning.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Okay, so I'm looking at the seasoning over here right now, so that way when I do,
because the potato is plain, it doesn't have taste.
Right. Got that part. But we're gonna mash it, and we want a garlic flavored mashed potato. So I got the pepper steak. I'm lacing the pepper steak. Right. Actually, I'm getting my seasoning right now. Looking for my adobo. I'm looking for my all-purpose. I need all-purpose seasoning. I got my adobo. I got my seasoning. Okay. So anyway, I'm just taking a little inventory of what I'm getting. Oh my gosh.
You done broke something.
No, I didn't. But some of this seasoning right here came down. Okay, so I got that boiling a little low. That's on the low. And then I got the T-bone steak in the pan about to season. Okay, I'm looking for my seasoning. Got that adobo. So are you telling me I have no all-purpose like this? You know what I mean? Like a seasoning that's like all-purpose. I don't have that.
It's okay, babe. Just do the best you can.
No. I'm just taking like a little inventory because I'm about to go to Walmart.
Well, you ain't got much room to put any more seasoning anyway, because you still got seasoning. You got to get some, use some before you get some. That damn cabinet is packed.
I know, and that's what I'm looking through right now.
Salt, pepper, seasoning, garlic, onion. That's it. Don't over season the potatoes. It's just a potato.
I'm not seasoning the potatoes. I'm looking for seasoning for my steak right now.
Oh.
Okay, she's listening. I'm looking for some. There we go. Okay, this is a mesquite rub. Okay, I like that. So I'm about to rub my steak. So we're going to have peppers.
Say it again.
I'm going to rub my steak. Okay, I was looking for this rub right here, mesquite flavored. Okay, rub my steak. You got all this. Okay, so I got that. That's right. I'm going to rub my steak. So it looks like you're running out of lemon pepper.
I always get the big one because I use.
I'll get that. I'll get a lemon pepper and it's my love. Gosh. Garlic pepper. We got enough garlic pepper for the world over here. So I have that on low. I got the green beans. I was trying to put some type of meat in the green beans. I'm thinking the T-bones. Now that I know you're coming home within an hour's time, I can go ahead and get this going. Maybe I'll take some content and see what I got going on. How much storage I need. Storage. Okay, that's something get this thing going right now. Cleaning it off first. Get the blood out of there. And then, once I do that, start seasoning. Once I remove all the fat and stuff off the T-bone. These are, dang on T-bone steaks. $28, $34. 40-something dollars just for 2 T-bone steaks. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, really?
Hey.
And it's not even a full one, like.
I know.
See, you know what a T-bone I'm about to actually.
I sure do.
I'm doing some content right now.
Thinking about getting me some cows, put them in the backyard.
And you're gonna cut them up.
No,
You can't do that.
Raising cattle is not a bad business.
Oh my God, who's gonna do that? I'm not gonna do that.
You can make friends with them and graze them and talk to them.
Oh
and
my
then
God.
when they get a certain age, you just call Wendy's.
I'm not doing that. Oh my God.
You call Wendy's, you call Red Lobster, you call the steakhouses, and they tell them you got some real first grade A beef. And make sure they have all the babies. See, the women, they got to be what? They got to be in menopause stage where they can't have no more babies. Them the ones. The men stay out there longer, but the women, when they get a certain age, they can't have no more calves. They the ones go to what they call Ruthie's. What's the name of that steakhouse? Ruth's Steakhouse.
I have no idea.
What's the name of that one we went to when they kept slicing steak on our plate?
Don't Chang or some Kumko Chang or some shit. Something Dofo something.
That's a good business though. Imagine, man. I just couldn't eat it because the last time I talked to a cattle guy, he had to get quadruple bypass. He was eating his cattle, and his heart was so full of grease.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he couldn't even eat them no more. He's like, they was cooking their meat right off the field, you know what I mean? And he spent a lifetime of eating off the grounds.
Need that beef. Yeah, oh my Lord.
That grease just clogged up his arteries.
You see how often we eat beef?
Yeah. And when I cleaned out his microwave, I had to fix his microwave. And they had the microwave over the stove. And when I tore the microwave apart, it had so much cattle grease that accumulated in the microwave. It used to be a vapor, but it turned into grease, and it was so thick. And I said, that's the same grease that was clogging up his heart. Yeah. He got all them cattle. Can't have no more hamburger. No more meat. He said I had a quadruple. That's when four valves. That's when all four valves are clogged.
Yeah.
That's my daddy had the same thing.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God, that is so much pork beef eating. greasy food eating, not exercising eating. It has more to do than just that beef. It has more to do than just the cow. You know what I mean? People try to put it on the food, but it's the person, it's the portion, it's the moderation. Everything you have to take. You have to put everything into consideration when somebody's all four of their.
It tastes good. That's all they know. What Eric Gotti say before he died? Everything that tastes good ain't good.
Good for you, yeah. And I'm learning that with the diabetes.
Is not for you.
Yeah, I'm learning that with the diabetes. Yeah. Right now, I'm rubbing my steak. I'm cooking the steak. I'm putting what I want on it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Instead of taking
the grease. You got to drain the
I
grease
know. I got the hell out of it, actually. That's why I make sure when the water is rinsing off of here, and a little vinegar don't hurt nobody. Pull my fat right off the edges. I know how to clean my steak. And these Jones is nice too. Nice size. Even after I clean the meat.
Just crossed over 20.
I need to put this on my oven. We gonna go bike ride?
Sure.
What you wanna do?
Sure.
Yeah? While the steak is in the oven, we could do it?
I would not leave anything cooking in my house unattended.
Oh, really? You don't do that?
Before I was the owner, that house did catch on fire.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that's what I was told. They said, yeah, the house, people that used to live in the neighborhood, they told me, said, yeah, your house caught on fire, man. I was like, word?
And you fixed the wiring since then, though, right?
No, I
you
wasn't the
fixed it.
owner. The people that owned the house before me, they had to get, they took care of all that. I didn't know, I never knew about it until somebody in the neighborhood told me. I wouldn't have never known. They left their food cooking and went to sleep.
Oh.
And the house caught on fire. The kitchen area caught on fire.
Dang, you know how many times I done did that?
That's why I said don't lose a house by being ignorant. Turn this shit on. It's ignorance that causes you to have circumstances like that. You know, and a lot of people do it all the time. If they wouldn't have did that, this wouldn't have happened, right? Like if they would just go to Walmart and pay for their items, they won't have to go to jail. It's just that damn simple. No, they want us not scan shit in the self-serve app, thinking the camera not being recorded. Then they want to get mad because they got video. They going, I didn't steal enough. We got it right here.
And that's why my homeboy, one of my homeboys worked right here at the Walmart.
Yeah.
He's the security guy there. And I had went up to him with my receipt, and I was like, "You want to see my receipt?" And he goes, "No, you was at the register. It's the people at the checkout.
Yeah,
it's the self-serve. Yeah." He said it's those people right there that he watches. But he said, "No, we don't need to see you guys that go to the register and have the lady check you guys out. It's the ones that's right there who's scanning on their own.
They try to trust.
Right. Basically. Yeah. That's what he told me.
Yeah, that one I was watching last night, they put 4 of them, what's them guns? The zappers, whatever those are. The tase guns?
On that white boy?
No, this black one, 6 feet tall, 300 pound. They put like 4 tasers on that bitch. They were zapping the fuck out of it. She's like, ow, because she would not give her her hands, and she was strong. They was zapping the hell out of her.
And how many was it?
By the end of it was 6 cops on that woman. They was zapping the fuck out of her. She was strong.
Oh shit! I didn't know you had biscuits in.
Yeah, biscuits in from last night. I forgot. Put them on out there for Stanley. He's probably mad at you anyway. Stanley be protesting like those goddamn migrants. He walking around the damn back door, walking. He know where the kitchen window at. He be in the kitchen window looking at your funky ass like, you know I'm back. The fuck wrong with you?
Stanley gonna have to chill for a minute.
He's probably back there sitting and waiting right now. And now we got cats. Now we got cats.
Now you feeding the cats. And whose yellow balls is this?
I saw it about a garbage can. I figured that's a beach ball for somebody lost their beach ball going down to the pool.
And you put it in here?
It's brand new. Shit, we can use that motherfucker when we get in the water.
Oh my goodness.
Oops, they lost.
Somebody could be looking for this
Too bad.
ball out here.
Should have left it by some black people's house. It's a brand new ball. It even smell new. I'm like, oops, thank God. Well, she said, thank God. Kamala said, thank you. Fake ass.
I wonder if she could run again.
They don't want her. They didn't even want her in the stands at the baseball game. They sent her all the way up to the top. Out the way. She went to a baseball game. They sent her and her husband all the way up. Out the way.
Isn't that good for them to be up? Like,
no, they at least have you throw the ball. At least they have you, hey, throw the game ball in. They ain't even asked to do that. They said, up, way up there, ma'am. They ain't fuck. They set that bitch up there in the food stamp seats. That's high up.
Yeah, I'm not right.
Get her out the way. They even stopped paying her for speeches because she come out there with that same old story she was doing. What's that shit? Think of what it is and what had happened story. You better hear that bullshit. What may have been, what I thought would be. Yeah, we know what it is. Get your ass on. And see, people like that they think black people stupid. They can just pump shit in black people's head and they'll believe it. But that is true. But some of us are starting to wake up. Like, you just can't pump shit in my head and think I'm gonna believe it without checking into it. See, they know some black people don't know how to do research. They don't think black people know how to use computers. Like that lady, the governor of New York, said black people don't know how to use laptops. That was an insult.
What?
Yeah, the governor of New York came on TV.
Wow.
Said blacks don't know how to use computers.
The governor of New York City?
Yep. Google it. She said blacks don't know how to use computers. They think that black
Wow.
people are stupid. That's why they always want us to be wanting something, not getting.
And what is she?
She's white. Italian.
Italian.
Yeah, she took Governor Cuomo's job. Remember, he got fired.
Oh, I remember Cuomo.
But they honestly think black people don't know how to do shit. They think that all they need is to give them some food stamps every month and give them Section 8 and always be wanting and needing on them. That's all they think. They don't think we can calculate and figure shit out, use the computer, generate our own businesses. They don't think we're capable. Well, the majority of black people, and you know what? They're right. Because they created a system now where the father is out the home, the wife is dependent on the new husband, which is the government, and they don't think they need a man for discipline, and that's why their sons and daughters get caught at Walmart. Plain and simple. That's why you got drug dealers, because they had nobody to show them another way of generating income, creating your own business. Drug dealers could be some of the best businessmen out, but they don't have the skills nor the knowledge or the fortitude, the discipline to educate themselves to use the skills that they were born with to put them in a positive way, like Donald Trump did. They don't have it. What they have is a criminal background record. Now they can't get a good job. Now they can't get security clearances. Now they can't get good money. So they're stuck out there on the street selling drugs, and they can't get a loan because they don't have a job, and the bank don't care how much money you got. They're not going to give you a loan because it takes more than cash to get a loan. You got to have credit too. Most drug dealers don't even have a credit score. And what goes up must come down. That's Puffy. You reap what you sow. So it's always good to always have a positive attitude in life. Do good by others, and then God will bless you tenfold. Do bad by others, then God will send the wrath of, they call it, reap what you sow. That means if you do bad, you get bad tenfold. If you do good, you get good tenfold. It's called a blessing and a curse. Depends on how you act. So you take advantage of people and get over people and doing harm to people, then it comes back tenfold. That's what happened to Puffy. If you spend a lifetime of doing good for people, then you get blessed. All of a sudden people do stuff for you. You come into good fortune. What you put in this world is what you get out. I learned that shit. I didn't even know what reap what you sow was until I got into my 40s. I really started understanding what it meant. And this shit's true. Then I started learning about fate. You can't get away from it. Fate is, the definition of fate is, it is what it is. That's fate. You can't do nothing about it. You can stay in the house for 2 days or 3 days, but guess what? You gotta come out. And that's fate. Fate be sitting right there. Stay in the house a whole week. Or fate to sit at your door a whole week. As long as you want. And that's part of your fate, making you stay in the house a whole week. Fate definition is, it is what it is. Reap what you sow. You get in what you get out. You get out what you get in. You put in good, you get out good. You do right, you get right. You go fast, you end fast. Up to the back way. Should be coming out by CVS. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay, good. Then you can be here with the food while I go run out. I'll just wait till you get home.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll just wait till you get here because my steak is in the oven and I'm not turning it off.
And I'm not. Yeah. Everything was cool until we got married. Then all of a sudden she said, I ain't. Then I said, I ain't either. What happened to all that lovey-dovey shit? All of a sudden, I ain't. No, I ain't either. Ain't nothing gonna happen. I ain't this, I ain't that. I cracked somebody up with that joke one day. He started dying laughing. She said, I ain't. I said, I ain't either. He like to die laughing. It's 78 degrees.
All right.
Nice houses hidden in these woods. They got them long driveways where you gotta look all the way down. Big ass house down there. Hidden driveway, you know. Badass. I just passed a badass 4-car garage. 4-car garage. Deep in the driveway.
Deep in there.
Tennis court. Come on to slow ass. I can't trust that single light. Oh boy.
I think I got it done downstairs. You have to change everything on every TV. So I said, let me watch something downstairs.
Yeah.
Totally forgetting that, oh shit, we got to upgrade. I mean, we have to, do all the changing over. So I go down, first I do the hit the garage. That one didn't work. So I said, I'll wait for you. You can handle that one.
The one in the garage?
Yeah, the one in the garage.
Okay.
Okay, you got to do that one. Then I came inside, did the one in the living room with the fire.
You took care of that one.
That one's taken care of. Now we just got to do the dining room.
I did the dining room this morning.
Oh, okay, good.
This morning doing prep. I got to do that security.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that and the garage.
Okay.
Oh, and most likely the media room. We got to get another fire. I think I'm gonna get another fire. Whoa, another fire
That's the room. That's the room we need to be in because it's air conditioned.
Oh no, I know. Yeah. We need another fire stick. Something that you could do your thing on.
What thing?
Do your thing.
What thing?
The thing that you be doing, honey.
What I be doing, honey?
The thing that you be doing.
What thing-a-ling? My ding-a-ling-a-ling?
What?
What thing you talking about?
Your thing, your jailhouse work shit.
For what TV?
The media room.
It's got one. It's got one.
No, it don't.
Yes, it does.
No, it don't. I was just in there.
No, you don't. It's a Fire Stick remote control in there too.
No, baby. It might be a remote control, but there's no stick.
The Fire Stick. You look behind it.
No.
Yeah, okay, then that's why you don't know.
No, I was sitting in there and I was doing all the channels, up and down channels, and then I changed the HDMI so that way it's it shows you other things on
the what input is the Fire Stick on?
The Fire Stick should be on HDMI 1.
Okay. And it didn't show, means it got to reboot. It's been off so damn long.
Oh, okay. I'm telling you that there's nothing there.
We need to start hanging out in there, good.
Yeah, I was in there. You told me to look at some of my shoes and things of that.
Yeah, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going on eBay. What size shoes?
I'm an 11.
11 ladies' shoes will be coming online on eBay. We will be doing a log on YouTube with the link to the eBay account where you can purchase these shoes from us.
I couldn't find any that I can donate. So
I can. I know a whole lot of them I can get rid of.
It is tough to part with a woman's
I understand. That's why I said, if you didn't wear them last year, you ain't wearing them this year. And if you ain't wearing them this year, you damn sure ain't gonna wear them next year. So you better. What? If you didn't wear them last year, you're not gonna wear them this year. And if you're not gonna wear them this year, you damn sure ain't gonna wear them next year.
You don't know that. You don't know what I'm gonna do.
I do know that because it'd be 2 years out of style. You be in some other shit.
Nah, shit back in style. How you think your bell bottoms and shit came back? Shit come back in style.
But you ain't got no bell bottoms.
We took them on. No, baby.
You got some bell bottoms?
I wouldn't mind getting some bell bottoms.
Then I'm gonna put them on eBay too. Because as soon as you come out of them, I'm gonna take them to the cleaners and put them on eBay.
So you need to look at your leather pants, outfits. You need to look at all that stuff right here.
That's right, because I can't wear them no more. I'm got fat.
If you can't fit them in, put those aside. And
we are hitting eBay hard, y'all.
And I can categorize that.
eBay is bomb.com when it comes to raising revenue. They called me out the blue, told me that something I had in my garage was sold. not somebody wanted, but sold. Okay? I like that kind of shit. Sold. They told me go get it out the garage, pack it up and ship it. And I did just that. They don't like pending sale. They sell it shit. And send you the label to pack it with too. All you have to do is box and ship. Get that paper. And you have to give them your bank debit card account so they can put the money. They do direct deposit. Coming out by CVS. There was some trees that fell the other night.
Oh no, where?
Everywhere. All kind of trees cut.
What time is it?
Is it?
Yeah.
It's 12:52.
I'm waiting for Publix Pharmacy to open up. They don't open up until 11 on Sundays.
So they open at 12:50. It's almost 1 o'clock.
I know now that my ass was hungry. Thank you, ma'am. I got pepper steak in the oven. Right. Potato boiling. And I got these buttered green beans. I'm going to, let me add my onion to my pepper steak. And I like to put them in layers when I'm cooking. I put the meat first, let that start getting its cook on. Then I chop up my peppers and onions while the meat is cooking. Then I add my peppers first. Boom, boom, boom. Put them in. All around. Now I'm adding my onions second. Boom, boom, boom.
So Fat Joe is gonna be on The Godfather Harlem.
Oh yeah? Yeah, that's cool. I wonder who he gonna be playing.
I don't know, but he's playing a significant role in saving Frank's life. Somebody's gonna attempt to try to kill Frank, and Fat Joe's gonna prevent that from happening.
Now let's go back in history. Who tried to kill Frank? And
should have talked to Uncle Willie before he passed. He would have filled in all them gaps. Because I'm quite sure Uncle Willie knew them too. But I never thought to ask. When he was telling me about how I got the Lincoln place, that was fascinating. That's where I was born. I'm behind CVS.
All right now.
I'm trying to make my little left. So the gas station down here, the pumps are going to be in the back. Oh no, they're going to be in the front. The bathroom, the building going to be in the back. It should be up by birthday.
Man, that's what, 3 months? Yeah, 3 months.
You guys have a great Sunday. Me and 50 Gang are signing out. Until next time, y'all be blessed.